Ben Simmons is in the news once again, and this time it's not going to end as pretty as, if you call it pretty, as it has recently. We're going to talk about it right after the bumper. What's good, good people? Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload every single day. Today, we are here to talk about Ben Simmons and the Philadelphia 76ers. Put your hashtag B1s in the chat. Put your hashtags B1 in the chat because Ben Simmons has been suspended by the Sixers, which will take money out of his pocket. This will not allow him to get paid. We're going to break all of this down right here on the Black Boss Channel. So be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. So like I said, Ben Simmons has been suspended by the Sixers. Now, as you all know, Ben Simmons in the Philadelphia 76ers has been a soap opera the NBA did not want, or the NBA always provides. The NBA is the biggest soap opera in all of sports. Every single year, it seems like there's a disgruntled superstar. Last year was James Harden. This year, it's Ben Simmons. Years before, it was Anthony Davis. And then outside of it, it's been Carmelo Anthony before, and all kinds of guys that always wanted to be traded. So Ben Simmons is the latest version of that soap opera. And he has decided that he wants to be traded. He had decided that he was never going to play for the Philadelphia 76ers ever again during the offseason. Well, the Sixers weren't budging. They was like, all right, bro, we don't want you here either, but we're not going to take pennies on the dollar for what we think you should be valued, right? Being an all-star, being an all-NBA, a defender, doing all kinds of stuff like that. So only being 25 years old, we want proper value. Well, they weren't getting what they felt like was proper value, so therefore they never traded Ben Simmons. He never reported to camp. They started fining him. And so how fines work in the NBA, it's not that I send you a letter and you have to pay me the fine, right? Like, that's not how it works in the NBA. When an NBA team fines a player or suspends a player for a game check or whatever, they just never get the money. So if I fine you $8 million, right, because you did whatever, it's not that I have to wait for you to pay me. No, I just never pay you. Like, you just never get the money. And that's what's been taking place with Ben Simmons. And so now Ben Simmons hadn't been getting paid. The Philadelphia 76ers were supposed to pay Ben Simmons over $8 million on October 1st. He wasn't at practice and training camp because he wanted to trade. And guess what? They didn't pay him his $8 million, almost $8.5 million on October 1st. So what does Ben Simmons do? Man, to hell with this. I need to go get paid. So he starts reporting to camp. He shows up to practice last week. He's been a participant in practice this week. Well, participant for the stretch of imagination, because the man has just not wanted to be there. I'm gonna show you some stuff from Ben Simmons at practice over the last week, and he just clearly isn't engaged. He clearly doesn't want to be there. He's clearly just doing whatever it takes to try to get his check, to try to get his money, to try to get paid. He even practiced with a cell phone in his pocket yesterday. And so today, I think it finally hit a boiling point, a turning point. I'm going to play you a clip from Joel Embiid first, and then we're going to also talk about what made it hit the boiling point, what made it the final straw. So this is a tweet from Shams Charania, who's like one of the best NBA reporters in the world, right? So Shams puts out this tweet. A source: Doc Rivers asked Ben Simmons to join a defensive drill today. Simmons refused. Rivers asked again. Simmons said no again. Rivers then told Simmons he should go home, and Ben Simmons dropped the ball and left. And I think that, to me, was the boiling point of the Ben Simmons fiasco that's taking place in Philadelphia. I don't think we'll ever see Ben Simmons in a Sixers jersey ever again, right? And this is what, from another reporter named Tim Bontemps for ESPN, he had this to say. This is a quote from Doc Rivers. Let's show you this. Doc says, I thought he was a distraction today, and I didn't think he wanted to do what everyone else was doing. So that goes to you about what took place during that drill. And so that is just more evidence that Ben Simmons' time in Philadelphia So here's a big tweet. See, here's the tweet that really matters. This tweet comes from Woj, and this is the money aspect, because this is the only reason why Simmons is even showing up to camp. It says ESPN sources. The 76ers have fined Ben Simmons $1.4 million for his absence from the 4 preseason games and levied numerous teams fines for missed practices, on-court workouts, and meetings. He hasn't earned any money since returning to the team on October 11th. So think about this. Remember what I said earlier. NBA teams don't fine you and wait for you to pay them. No, that's not how the NBA works. NBA teams, when they say fine, that means they just don't pay you. So, like, if you get fined by the government, right, by the street, right, you get a ticket or whatever, they have to wait till you pay them, and then if you don't pay them, you can get a warrant for your arrest or whatever. See, now the NBA they ain't working like that. We distribute the checks, and so therefore, if you don't pay us what you owe us, you don't get a check. So ain't no we waiting for you to pay us. Like, we just not gonna give you your check. So Ben Simmons has been with the team for over a week now. And the only reason why he wanted to show up was to get paid. He wanted his money. And yet he hasn't been paid a dime since he arrived to the team over a week ago. And this is why I believe Ben Simmons is showing out in practice. This is why I believe Ben Simmons is putting, lighter fluid and lighting a match to his Philadelphia 76ers career. He wants out of town. And his holdout didn't work. It didn't work because he's not that guy, and teams weren't going to pay teams were trying to pay pennies on the dollar to get Ben Simmons, and the Sixers weren't going. And so therefore, the Sixers are like, man, what the hell? And Ben is just like, yo, I don't care. Like, y'all not trading me. I demanded to be traded. Y'all not trading me, so y'all gonna get half of me. All right? Y'all gonna get me barely. Y'all gonna get 30% of me, because it's not even 50%. He's halfway trying. And his teammates are now, they're sick of it. And led by the best player on the team, Joel Embiid. So I'm gonna play this clip from Joel Embiid. I'm not gonna show the clip because of copyright things. They got a disclosure, but I'm going to play to you what Joel Embiid, 2 parts of what Joel Embiid had to say today in regards to Ben Simmons. Here's Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers.
But at the end of the day, our job is not to babysit somebody. We get paid to go just on the court, go out, play hard, win some games. That's all we get paid for. We don't get paid to come out here and try to babysit somebody. And so that's not our job. And I'm sure my teammates feel that way. But at the end of
so he's basically saying, yo, we don't get paid to babysit nobody. Like, Ben Simmons is a grown man. Us as teammates, us as players, we don't get paid to babysit him. We're not here to satisfy him. We're here to win games. We're here to try to win a championship. We're here and we get paid because of this. We get paid because we are trying to help our team win a title. We get paid because we are professional athletes and we excel at a high level, and we come in here and we work hard. We don't get paid to babysit. And so therefore, you asking me questions about Ben Simmons, and I don't have any more answers. I don't have any more answers because Ben Simmons doesn't want to be here. I'm talking about the guys that are coming here, that are showing up every day to work, period. I'm tired of talking about Ben. It's basically what he's saying. You remember that thing when, not Jordan Peele, Keegan-Michael Key and Obama, and it was like Keegan-Michael Key was Obama's, like, what Obama really wanted to say. And Obama was like talking, being very politically correct. And Keegan-Michael Key was like, yo, this is what he really means. This is what I'm doing that for Joel Embiid right now, because he's being really politically correct. He's been really nice about the situation. But I understand him as the best player on the Philadelphia 76ers. Him as a player that believes the Sixers could have easily been where the Milwaukee Bucks were, and that's winning the title last year. Him as the best player believes there's no way in hell that I'm going to continue to talk about Ben when Ben doesn't want to be here. I'm going to play you another clip that kind of solidifies that from Embiid. This is Embiid. Once again, this is a different clip. Embiid talking about Ben Simmons and why the hell he's probably tired of talking about Ben Simmons. This is posted on Bleacher Report today.
At this point, I don't care about that man, honestly. He does whatever he wants. That's not my job. That's those guys' jobs. I'm only focused on trying to make the team better, win some games, play hard every night, try to lead, the guys that we have here. And I'm sure they feel the same way because, our chemistry has been excellent. Despite everything that's been happening the last few months, like I said, I don't really care. At this point, I don't care about that man, honestly.
At this point, I don't care about that man. Honestly, because the chemistry has been flawless. The chemistry has been amazing. The chemistry has been great while he's been gone. Whoo-wee. This is going to be interesting to watch play out. His absence will not be missed. See, that's interesting because the Sixers are, at least statistically, let me just say statistically, are better team when Simmons is on the floor. When Ben Simmons is on the floor, J-Trap says his absence will not be missed. And that is very much true as far as the team, as far as the chemistry, as far as the people there. But will it be missed as far as wins and losses? Because when Ben Simmons is on the court, the Philadelphia 76ers are better. Period. They win more games when he's on the court as opposed to him being off the court. That's just how it's been. Now, in a trade, you get something back. Right? In a trade, you'll get pieces to try to replace him. In a trade, you'll get someone that can try to fill those shoes or maybe even exceed those shoes. But just suspending him and telling him to go away, because that's what I think is eventually going to come down to. Hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. I eventually believe the Sixers are just going to tell Ben Simmons to go away. They're going to tell him how the Nets are treating Kyrie Irving over the jab is how the Sixers are going to treat Ben Simmons because of he's actually being a distraction. See, Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons to me are in totally different spots. Kyrie Irving doesn't want the jab, and you can say what you want about that's selfish or whatever, but that's just a personal choice. He actually does want to play with the Brooklyn Nets and loves his teammates and want to go out there and help them fight and compete for a championship, but he doesn't want to be forced to put something inside of his body, right? That I can completely understand and get behind that. Ben Simmons, on the other hand, just don't want to play in Philly, and I can understand that too. But if you're going to show up, at least give effort. At least try. At least, you know what I'm saying? At least go out there and give some sort of effort. At least if you're going to be there and try to collect the check, at least pretend that you're trying. Damo, shout out to Damo, says, I don't believe you'll be missed either. That's interesting because, like I said, they statistically are a better team when he's on the court. Now, with the eyeballs... Our eyeballs all watched Ben Simmons in the playoffs last year. Leave your thoughts in the chat. Did you or did you not watch Ben Simmons in the playoffs last year? Because I sure in the hell did. And I saw what I saw in the playoffs. And what I saw in the playoffs was not good. What I saw in the playoffs was not good at all. This is a long hot take. Kyrie Clark says if Ben Simmons of the Philadelphia 76ers gets his way with this situation, takes precedence for NBA players like Ben Simmons and James Harden and their astute management teams who have calculated that people will eventually forget all about this drama after a few weeks. NBA owners want a permanent scar on Ben Simmons' career and record. They want what happened to James Harden to happen here. People like fans and everyone else forgot all about Harden, got his way. No, this is true. Kyrie, you make a great point. This is a great point. Thank you, Kyra, for the comment, because this is very true. Because if Ben Simmons gets traded, goes to a different team, starts balling out, that team eventually wins a lot of games, just like James Harden, we forgot. And Kyra, don't forget, Anthony Davis, we forgot. We didn't care. We don't care that players demand trades. Carmelo Anthony demanded a trade that cost the New York Knicks half the roster. Anthony Davis demanded a trade that got him to LA to win him a championship. James Harden demanded a trade, forced the Houston Rockets, got him to Brooklyn where he's in prime position to win a championship. Was in prime position last year before everybody's bones started falling apart, before everybody got hurt. Right, so you're absolutely right, Kyra. You are absolutely right. If Ben Simmons, the difference, here's the difference between Ben Simmons and those guys I just named, the James Harden and the Anthony Davises. The biggest difference between Ben Simmons, James Harden, and Anthony Davis situation is that Anthony Davis and James Harden, teams like Brooklyn and the Lakers, believed that they acquired James Harden and or Anthony Davis, they would win the championship. They felt like those pieces put them over the top. You add a James Harden with Kyrie and Kevin Durant, you add an Anthony Davis with LeBron James and the Lakers, you feel like you should win the championship. Not just, feel like it, it's come to fruition. The Lakers won the title. Brooklyn would have, I can't say woulda, coulda, shoulda, but Brooklyn were favorites to win the title last year and once again favorites to win the title again this year. The difference with Ben Simmons is, the reason why he can't do what those players did is because teams aren't willing to give up the same for Ben Simmons. Why? Because teams don't believe Ben Simmons is the piece that they need to win a championship. Period. Teams do not feel the same way about Ben Simmons like they do about Anthony Davis and James Harden. Ben Simmons is not that guy. Correct, Damo. He is not that guy. And that is why Philly isn't getting a trade partner like the Lakers got a trade partner really fast and all those draft picks and all those young guys to get Anthony Davis from New Orleans. That's why Houston got a trade partner in Brooklyn that sent all them picks, and I really don't even know what they sent back, to be honest. But it was enough to get James Harden out of town. But see, Ben Simmons isn't that guy. Ben Simmons is more, like you said, my holy king, is more of a defensive guy. Let's just be honest. He is more of a defensive guy. Defensive guy. When you think of defense, who are the guys you think of? And what do you think about them? You think of Rudy Gobert. Historically, you think of guys like Tony Allen and Bruce Bowen and and Dennis, besides Dennis Rodman, but even Dennis Rodman, his trade value wasn't ever anything historically. So when you think of defensive guys, whether it's defensive point guards, defensive small forward, shooting guards, centers, or whatever, ain't no trade value for a defense first type of guy. There is absolutely zero trade value for a defensive first type of guy. Period. And that's what the Sixers are finding out. Especially when he's a guard that shoots 30% from the free throw line. Ben Simmons shot 30% from the free throw line in the playoffs. When it mattered the most, Ben Simmons has folded. He don't shoot that great, period, let alone a defensive guy in the playoffs that folds. Scared to get fouled, turning down layups. Come on, guys. Let me know in the chat. This is what's taking place with Ben Simmons. Derek Stingley. Shout out to Derek Stingley. Can't really say that about Simmons. If I remember correctly, he was wishy-washy at LSU. Yeah, he didn't go to class. Derek Stingley. Are you related to the Derek Stingley? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, at LSU, Ben Simmons didn't go to class. Ben Simmons didn't go to class because he felt he went there to play basketball, not school. He was one of those Cardale Jones type people. He didn't go to class, and so therefore he wasn't eligible for any awards. Like he probably would have won Player of the Year or SEC Player of the Year or something, but he wasn't eligible for any awards because his GPA was so low. And even if LSU would have made the tournament, he wouldn't have been able to play because he was ineligible. So yeah, this is the same Ben Simmons. It's the same Ben Simmons. Remember we talked about, let's go back to the trades, right? The Anthony Davis and the James Harden trades are the most, notable big name trades that have taken place in the NBA. The difference between James Harden, Anthony Davis, and Ben Simmons also is that we've seen James Harden and Anthony Davis, besides Anthony Davis last year, but besides that one outlier year, they've ascended. They've continued to get better throughout their career. Their trajectory is like this. Ben Simmons, for 5 years, guys, we got to remember this, for 5 years, has stayed the same player. Ben Simmons' stats his rookie year and Ben Simmons' stats last year are the exact same. They look the exact same. Don't believe me? You don't. Most of you guys that are in here right now follow basketball, but let's just make sure I ain't lying to you. Let's just make sure I am not lying to you. Let me share my screen so you can see what I am seeing. This man's stats have been the exact same. This is a Ben Simmons Google search. Quick Google search. Rookie year, 17. His rookie year was actually 16, but they take it to 17. 15 points per game. Went up to 16, almost 17 points per game. 16 points per game. And last year he actually fell because he was down to 14 points per game. He also missed a bunch of games, only played in 58 games. Second lowest I mean, this is what the Sixers are dealing with, guys. And this is in a 72-game season now. Now, 2019, which is the 2019/2020 season, was weird. It was a COVID year, right? But 2020 was last year, was 72 games, and he missed a bunch of games. He missed a bunch of games the year before. This is what the Sixers are trying to trade away. This is what teams don't want. The same player for 5 years, guys. Yeah, you can tell me got better defensively, but defensive players don't get you trade anything back in a trade. Defensive players are normally throw-ins in trades. You never heard of Bruce Bowen having a large trade market. Rudy Gobert, even Rudy Gobert done won Defensive Player of the Year last 3 years. He doesn't have a large trade market. They gave him a bunch of money because he plays in Utah. And Utah wants to keep their guys. Come on. I mean, this is what the Sixers are dealing with. Ben Simmons is an all-star player. He is an all-star player, but he's a defensive first player, a defensive pass first player. Say what you want about, scorers only score. The purpose of basketball is to score more than the other team, right? Am I not right or am I wrong? The purpose of the game of basketball is to score more than the other team. So therefore, the guys who have the most trade value are the guys who are the best at putting the ball in the basket. That's why James Harden went for a bunch. That's why Anthony Davis went for a bunch. And that's why anytime a player who scores, as opposed to a player who's better known for defense, has way more trade value. Maula King says Ricky Rubio couldn't shoot when he came to the league. Also, Blake Griffin, look at them now. And that's the point. That is the problem with Ben Simmons, is because realistically, you look at him and his age, 25 years old, and you're like, damn, this dude can do everything but shoot. And the thing is he don't even have to be a great shooter. Ben Simmons don't shoot at all. He doesn't even shoot at all. And then late in games, he stops attacking the basket, which is one of his better attributes, because he's scared to get fouled. Because he is scared to get fouled. Harrison Barnes is a better scorer than Ben. Team. Yeah, they don't want to deal with this. And they don't want to deal with the rumors. Now, these are just rumors and reports that he likes to party and that his off seasons he spends in LA hanging out with Instagram models instead of working on his game. Now, I'm not asking you to be. Now, in a perfect world, every great superstar basketball player would have the mindset of a Kobe Bryant or a Michael Jordan, where they just dedicate their life for like 15 years, 10 to 15, maybe in Kobe's case, 20 years just to basketball, right? And then go and live their best life, partying, doing all that stuff after it's over. That'd be in a perfect world for like NBA people. But that's not reality, right? We know the guys still go out and party. Guys still like to have fun. Guys are still young. Guys are still doing their thing. But some of them can compartmentalize like hell. Like James Harden can go out, throw $100,000 in a strip club, and then come drop 40 on your favorite team the next night, right? Everybody ain't like James Harden. And so for those who aren't like James Harden, I need for you to work on your game. I need for you to work on your game. Like, I need for you to get in the gym. That's it. Just get in the gym, man. Especially if I'm going to give you $150 million. Just get in the gym. And if you get in the gym and you play great and you prove to me that you're worth more than $150 million, you'll get $200 million. Ask Steph Curry. He's gotten 2 contracts worth over $200 million. Ask LeBron James. He's got almost $1 billion in NBA contracts. Ask your favorite Kevin Durant. He just got another $190 million extension this offseason. This is what takes place. This is what's at stake for Ben. Kevin White asks, what's a realistic trade you can see happening? Sixers said they don't want role players for. Well, the Sixers are going. Well, here's the thing, Kevin. I think Ben is actually expediting his exit by getting suspended and by getting put out of practice and doing all that kind of stuff. I think the Sixers are going to have to revisit a trade that they got earlier this offseason from the Portland Trail Blazers. And I think that CJ McCollum deal is looking a lot more appealing now. I think if you can get CJ McCollum, Robert Covington, and a couple of first-round picks or maybe 1 first-round pick, I think you pull the trigger at this point, because you have a legit Eastern Conference, maybe even NBA title contending team. But you need for it to gel and you need for them to get right. during the early part of the season. Obviously, the season starts today or tomorrow for the Sixers, but they need to, if they're going to pull the trigger, they need to go ahead and pull it now and not wait till like the trade deadline or not wait for this to get any worse. Because the problem is, the more Ben Simmons shows out, the more he acts out, the more he continues to show the world and the league that he doesn't want to be there, the lesser his value goes down, the more and more his value goes down, right? Because the teams are going to continue to know the more you suspend him and the more you keep him, tell him to stay away from the team, teams are going to know that you're trying to unload him. Teams are going to know that you're trying to get rid of him. Teams are going to know that you'll almost take anything at this point to get him off your hands. And so now I say strike while the iron is hot and just get rid of him and make it happen now, because you are in contention for an Eastern Conference championship. Joel Embiid with Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, and a potentially Robert Covington and CJ McCollum can win the East. It's not going to be easy. I'm not saying it's going to be a cakewalk, but with Brooklyn not having Kyrie Irving, and anything can happen with James Harden and Kevin Durant and their health. Knock on wood, I hope it doesn't, but anything can happen because these guys are not the healthiest of players all the time. You can win the Eastern Conference. And so therefore, if you're Philly, if I'm Daryl Morey, if I'm Doc Rivers, if I'm Elton Brand, if I'm the Philly staff, Philly owners, I got to get Ben Simmons up out of here. Like yesterday. I got to get Ben Simmons up out of here like yesterday. Absolutely can improve. He just hasn't shown it. He just hasn't proven he wants to improve. Wasn't Ben Simmons drafted first overall? Yes, he was the number 1 overall pick in his draft. In the 2016 draft, Ben Simmons was number 1 overall. So yeah, and Ben Simmons is a good player, but right now for Philly, he's not a good player. They need to get him up out of here, get him up out the paint. Marlon says Ben can't ask for a team to be built around him when his shooting stats are this bad. He has to take. Yeah, it's hard to build a team around a guy who can't score. Let's just, in the modern day NBA, it's hard to build a team around a guy who cannot score. Think about the teams who won the championship recently. I didn't say a guy who can't shoot. There's a difference. I didn't say a guy who can't shoot. I said a guy who can't score. Because Giannis isn't the greatest shooter. We just saw them win a championship. LeBron isn't the greatest shooter. LeBron is LeBron James, though. But think about the guy, all the championships that have been won recently. Whether it's Kawhi Leonard, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo. You don't build championships around defensive-laced players. You build championships about guys who can put the ball in the basket. The purpose of the game is to put the ball in the basket, is to score more points than the other team. And so therefore, I need a guy that can go out there and get me a bucket. I don't care how you do it. I don't care if you do it from behind the three-point line like Steph. If you do it from mid-range, that little fadeaway shot like LeBron, or if you do it by dunking on everybody like Giannis. You got to put the ball in the basket. And that's what Ben Simmons doesn't do great right now. That's what Ben Simmons doesn't do great. And he doesn't like Philly. No, hell no, he don't like Philly because Philly fans are rough. Philly fans demand a lot out of you. But if you give your all to Philly, Philly gives their all to you. Ask Allen Iverson. That's why Iverson's trying to big up Simmons. But Iverson can't defend this. Because one thing about Iverson, even though he didn't like practice, he went hard every single day. He gave his all to the Sixers. And that's why they love him. That's why they love him. Philly would be weaker with McCollum. They ain't no weaker than not having Ben Simmons. If you get CJ, so you're essentially not going to have Ben Simmons this year. And so if you get CJ McCollum, you take out Ben Simmons because you're not going to have, I think they're going to tell him to go away. So you're not going to have Ben Simmons, but instead you have CJ McCollum. I think you're a better team. You'll let Tyrese Maxey run the one. CJ McCollum hits his mid-range shot. CJ McCollum spreads the floor for Embiid. Embiid doesn't have to stay on the perimeter all the time because CJ McCollum can hit mid-range and three-point shots. You add that with Danny Green's ability to make shots, Tobias Harris's ability to make shots. It's not a bad ad. CJ McCollum is a 20-something point per game scorer. Like CJ McCollum is not no soup sandwich now. like CJ McCollum averaged 23 a game last year. He's averaged over 20 points per game since 2015. Like CJ McCollum gets buckets now. Like let's not go crazy. CJ McCollum gets buckets. Let's look at CJ's stats and imagine if they were able to do this. If you can get this and get rid of Ben and all the distractions that come with Ben Simmons, you're telling me the Sixers can't add 45% from the field, 23 a game on 46% and 40% from three? You telling me the Sixers aren't better with that? You telling me the Sixers can't use a 40% three-point shooter? I don't know. I think they could. 23 a game, 22 a game. Never under. He's a career 40% three-point shooter. This is for a career. It's not an outlier year. This is for a career. He's a career 19-point per game guy. And if you take away the first 2 years, he's really a 20-point per game guy, really, outside of his first 2 years in the league where he only averaged about 12 minutes a game. Yes, CJ's like that. Like, CJ can play. CJ can play. You can add that. So, it's going to be interesting to watch what the Sixers do. It's going to be interesting to watch what the Sixers do with Ben Simmons. Man, oh man. MB gets hurt all the time. MB does get hurt a lot. MB does, but he's gotten better. I feel like he's gotten better. He's gotten better with his injuries over the last few years. Now, it ain't great. His injury history still ain't great. But he's definitely gotten better. Strike while the iron is hot. Absolutely. LeBron's a good shooter. LeBron's a decent shooter. I don't know if he's a decent shooter. And Giannis does have a mid-range game. So, yeah, that's very true. Giannis' mid-range is getting better. It's not all the way there. Yeah, Philly's a tough town. But Philly, if you make it in Philly, if you get the fans on your side, you play. Man, all you got to do is play hard, man. And Ben Simmons don't play hard. He's too cool for school most of the time. He's too cool for school to be playing in a town like Philly. He is too cool for school, and you can't play in a town like Philly and be a cool guy. You can play out in California and be a cool guy, you know. But Philadelphia, nah, man, they're not going. Trade him. He's not great, but he said trade him to the Magic. I don't see that happening. I don't. Magic have a lot of young pieces, but I think you want a better. There's not a player on the Magic right now that's as good as CJ McCollum. CJ McCollum is probably your best bet. And the salaries match. You got to take that into account as well. Your salaries got to kind of match, right? CJ McCollum's on a $100 million deal, so is Ben Simmons. So that is pretty close. You throw in a guy like Robert Covington, that probably makes it match up. So Giannis is going to be a one-hit wonder. I mean, Giannis got a title. He won a title with the Milwaukee Bucks. If that's going to be your one hit, that's a hell of a hit. Not to mention Giannis got 2 MVPs and a Defensive Player of the Year and a Finals MVP. Not a lot of people can say that. Jordan, Hakeem. That's it. That's the list. So it ain't too bad for Giannis. It's just a pretty good one hit, I'd say. So that's all I have, guys. Ben Simmons, for those of you tuned in late, Ben Simmons has been suspended by the Philadelphia 76ers. Ben Simmons looks as if he's probably, potentially played his last game for the Sixers. They suspended him. He hasn't made any money since he's been back in Philly, and that was literally the only reason why he showed up. The only reason why he showed up is to make some money, and he hasn't made any. So it's going to be interesting. I'll keep you guys updated on this. I'll keep you guys updated on the Kyrie Irving situation as the NBA season kicks off today or tips off tonight. So be sure to check that out. Once again, I'm Jeff Lightsy Jr. at the Black Boss Channel with Victory Formation. For those of you, you can follow me on Twitter at JLightsy7. On Twitter at JLightsy7, where we have dope conversations like this. For those of you on Facebook, it's Jeff Lightsy Sports on Facebook. That is Jeff Lightsy Sports. We kick off crazy dope conversations about Ben Simmons, about Kyrie Irving, about the NFL, about the NBA, and about just being black. Because that's all we care about at this one. We're B1 on this platform. Thank you guys for tuning in. And for those of you who don't know, I'll be at the All Black National Convention October 29th through November 1st down in Orlando, Florida. I hope to see all of you there. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out. Peace.